You're listening to Bigfoot Society, and I'm Jeremiah Byron. Tonight's account is from a former nurse from Oregon, living the van life in the forest near Mount St. Helens, when her tire blew out in a clear-cut zone, miles from help, and deep in Sasquatch territory. The forest drastically changed. This is the story of Cara and what happened to her that day in Skamania County, so stay with us. All right, Bigfoot Society, I've got the privilege of talking to Cara today. Cara is an individual I got connected to over on the TikTok platform. Cara is a former nurse from Oregon who also likes to spend a lot of time out in the woods, van life, all that good stuff. But we got connected, and I asked her to come on the show after I heard a bit about her account, which is extremely, extremely interesting, happens out there in Skamania County. So welcome to the show, Cara. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Doing great. Another great day where I'm able to talk to people about their Bigfoot encounters and make sure that is all documented. So I want to make sure that you have the proper time to share what happened out there by Mount St. Helens. So you are welcome to take us back to that time when you had this experience, anything that we would need to know in addition, and I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, awesome. So it's so strange because it was exactly a year ago today. I had it pop up on my memories today that this occurred like a year ago exactly today. And I was looking for a campsite out on the south side of Mount St. Helens. I was trying to get to this area, and it was like I thought I could get to it by driving out this logging road through this clear cut. And I started driving out there, and it was huge, the big, sharp gravel, and I got a flat tire. Like I heard it pop. And I was only about a quarter mile off the main road, which was just a Forest Service road. It was like a forest development road. But I turned around and went back to the Forest Service road so that I would be near people going by because I didn't have service. And it turned out that I couldn't figure out that I had never changed a tire on this particular vehicle before, and I didn't know that I had to drop the spare tire with a long thing that you stick in through the bumper of the car. So I couldn't figure out how to change the tire. And some rangers came by. They also couldn't figure it out. But they said that they would get a message to my son who was going to come and help me. So I hoped. So they took off. I didn't see any other people really. But while they were still there, like right before they left, I started hearing these really weird sounds that I had never heard before. And I noticed that the ranger noticed it too. It sounded like like it still makes me feel anxious to even talk about it. And I will not make this sound if I'm in the woods because it still is scary to me. But anyway, it sounded like a gorilla kind of barking or roaring, like an animal with a huge lung capacity making a deep, sort of short, guttural sounding bark roar thing. And the ranger looked up the hill at it. The first time I heard it, it was up the hill. The ranger looked up the hill and I said, "What is that?" And he kind of like nervously laughed a little bit and looked away and didn't answer me. And then I asked again and he still didn't answer me. And so I didn't ask again, but then they left. And I kept hearing it. And at first it was only every couple times an hour, probably. But then I started hearing it, and it was only from up the hill. But then I started hearing it alternately from downhill from me, and still also from uphill. So it was at least two things were calling to each other. And the one up the hill was staying where it was, it sounded like, but the one down the hill sounded like it was getting closer. And this continued for hours. And it was super, super scary. like I said, I've never heard anything like this before. And I've heard elk bugle. I've heard bears. I've never heard a cougar in the wild, but I've heard recordings of them. And it sounded more like the size of an animal. Like if you've ever heard a bear up close, or like if you've ever been around a big bull, like a big bull cow, it sounded like that kind of huge lung capacity. And the one down the hill kept getting closer and closer, and I was so scared. And I tried to, I'm a very spiritual person, and I sort of prayed about it, and I was getting that it was like I was associated, because I'm a person, a human, with the clear cut, and they were pissed about the clear cut, it felt like. But it was felt like it was more like they were definitely protectors of the earth. And they kept getting closer and closer, and it got scarier and scarier. I tried to leave an offering in the clear cut as a peace offering, but that was terrifying because I had to go kind of far away from my van to do that. And they kept getting closer and closer to the edges of the clear cut. And then, oh my gosh, right after it got dark, or the sun had gone down and it was getting twilight, and they just kept getting closer, and the one down up the hill started coming closer. And then I heard, I don't know for sure that it was a different one than the one that had been down the hill, but then I heard another one of those noises from my from the side, it would have been the west, from the west then, and that tree line was pretty close to me, and I was just too scared. I just decided to drive on my flat tire and get out of there. But before I drove out of there, I did feel like they were definitely sending me a message, and it was that they don't really, the vibe I got is they don't really care about people. They don't have they don't have a soft place in their heart for us, because they see how we're hurting the earth. It's not like they dislike inherently, but they don't like what we're doing to the earth. And the message that they were sending is that the earth needs help, and that the earth will create balance whether we help or not. But the earth loves humans and wants us to be a team, and so that's why they tolerate us, kind of, and why the Bigfoot tolerate us. But they see us as destructive. But humans are supposed to protect the earth, and we're supposed to be a team with the earth, and the earth will provide for us if we protect it. But they were mad about the destruction that was caused by that clear cut. And that's why, more than anything, why they were running me out of there. But it was so scary at the end. I felt like they were about to start throwing stuff at my van, it felt like. So I drove about a mile away on my flat tire, ruined the tire, but I didn't ever hear him again. And it was definitely the scariest experience I've ever had in any location. So that's pretty much what happened.
Oh my goodness. I can tell you are, and I would be the same way if I was telling this account. I mean, you are right back there in that time emotionally. It's intense.
It was so scary. I made videos because I didn't have cell service, but I was I think that these are what we call Bigfoot, and I am scared that they are going to literally rip me apart, and they won't care about my phone. And so I want to get a message to my kids, So I recorded oh my gosh, I don't want to get all, whew. Okay, so I recorded some videos to my kids where I was like, I love you so much and stuff, you know, because I was truly scared. And, but yeah, it was intense. But I was really glad they didn't, like, I was scared they would follow me or that they would be faster than because you can't drive very fast when you have a flat tire, you know? But they just wanted me to go away from there. So I think that area was special to them. Or at least, I don't know if they were protecting it because of the clear cut or if it was before that a special area to them or what. But it definitely was like they were protecting that area. So anyway, that was wild. It was, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have a few questions for you.
Yeah.
So you get a mile away, your tire's ruined. Then how did you eventually get out to safety then?
So I had to wait. Like I said, I had asked the ranger to I gave him my son's phone number and I asked him to notify my son and ask him to come out. And so I knew that my son was going to come out there eventually, you know, and I didn't know exactly when, but I just I was going to go camping anyway. So I had everything I needed. I had water and food and, you know, everything I need in my van. I was self-sustained. Like I didn't really need anything. I would have been okay to be out there for like a week or so, you know, and just waiting. And he did end up coming like that next day, like partway through the day. We were unable to figure out the tire. And so we drove down to where we had reception, and I ended up getting a hold of a person who lived in that closest town that was like about 11 or 12 miles away. And he drove up and, oh yeah, that's a cool part of the story too. He drove up and so he lived there, right? His whole life. He's like in his 40s, this guy that drove up and changed my tire for me and showed me that like the thing to change my tire is under the hood, and I just have to like pop off this rubber thing and then shove it through the back bumper and drop my spare and blah, blah, blah. So I figured out, like, by the way, if you ever go out into the woods with no reception, make sure you know how to change the tire on the vehicle you're currently driving. So anyway, I told him what happened because it was still like super, super fresh and scary for me. And he was like, I was like, what do you think that could have been? Because I didn't say I heard a Bigfoot, you know. I said, this is what happened and this is what I heard. And without like skipping a beat for even a second, he was like, Bigfoot. And he's like, my mom saw one in our backyard, like when I was a kid. And he grew up in that area. So they know that, I mean, he said that he's only had experiences where he heard them, but he's had friends too who like have been run out of places and had stuff thrown at them. And so he wasn't like, he was just very clear, not missing a single beat, said it was Bigfoot.
It's like every single person you talk to is like, yeah, it's a thing you have to deal with.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Absolutely. That for sure. Yeah. Yeah. There's a clear cut out there. I don't know if people should be going there. I'm never going there again.
Right.
That's how I feel about it.
Right.
I'm not saying don't go there, but I'm just saying like it might be a scary thing.
Oh, sure.
You know?
Absolutely.
Or you might have weird stuff happen, or like I really truly think that they were about to start throwing big stuff at my van.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. It felt like it. It was like elevating, and they were like calling to each other more and more frequently and getting closer. And I was like, they're definitely trying to scare me, but I also feel like they're going to keep elevating it until I actually listen, you know?
Right.
So, yeah.
There's a few questions that I want to ask. Before I do, I want to make sure, you know, I'm asking them with respect. But
yeah,
my listeners are going to be like, why didn't you ask it? So
for sure.
When you're saying that you'd made videos, are those, I'm guessing those videos are not available anywhere on the internet, or?
No, they're
Gotcha.
like videos that I made on my phone in case I got ripped apart by a Bigfoot so that
Exactly.
my kids
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
know what happened, because I thought Bigfoot won't care about my phone,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it probably doesn't even know what a phone is.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
like it's not I wasn't at all scared it was a person that was going to like steal my stuff or take my phone. I was like, so yeah, they were like videos so that my kids could know that I love them and what happened.
Absolutely. What did you leave exactly as an offering there?
Oh yeah. So I meditated about that a little bit, and I had a big piece of raw rose quartz, and I also had the only thing that I had that was like a fresh vegetable type thing was a pepper. And so I went out, and there was this one area of the clear cut that was kind of in the middle of the like flatter area that's right below the road. It's not really flat, but it's like a little less steep area that's right below the road. That sort of felt central or something, but it was a stump. I mean, it's a clear cut. They're all stumps and brush piles. And so I went over and put the rose quartz and the pepper on top of that stump. And rose quartz is and my intention was to focus healing energy on this spot, because rose quartz's properties have to do with healing. So that was my intention. And then the pepper was just like a here's something you might like, I hope thing.
Right.
No,
Here's the bonus. Yeah.
But it's probably still there, maybe, unless somebody took it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that is so wild, but very interesting. I didn't know about rose quartz. Just to double check, so you actually had to stay there overnight while you were waiting for the individual to get you, or was it?
Yeah.
You did. Oh man. Man.
Yeah, it was scary. It was super scary. I was like, I was ready to keep trying to. I would have ruined my van to get away from there. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't care that it was going to cost me so much more money at that moment. I would have kept going farther if I had to, but I didn't hear them again after I drove.
Okay.
Right. So, yeah, but it was scary. It was really scary. I didn't sleep well. The next day, I got out of my van to like look at the tire, because I didn't even get out of the van that night at all. The next morning after it was light, I got out of the van to look at the tire, but I didn't even stay out of the van for very long. I got back in it and waited until my person got there. So
thankfully, I mean, we mentioned before you're into like the van life movement. So I would get from that you had the inside of your van decked out for you to be okay if you were needing to stay overnight.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was planning on staying at least a week in the area that in the camp spot I was trying to find out there. So yeah, I was ready to be camping. I think I had like 12 gallons of water and plenty of food, everything I own it currently is in my van. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I had everything I needed.
That's great.
That wasn't the thing. Yeah.
That's great. Let's see. During the time when you were out there and you're hearing the sounds all around you, did you smell any weird smells at all?
I don't remember that.
Gotcha. And when you're looking around the forest that's all around you, did you notice any patterns made by trees or tree limbs or branches, anything that stuck out? Sometimes as humans, we'll pick out patterns when we're out in the woods. Anything weird like that?
Right. So I was in the middle of the clear cut. The road that I drove out, it goes like, so I was on the south side of Mount St. Helens, and it goes down like away from the mountain, from the peak of the mountain. And it goes out kind of in the middle of the clear cut area, the swath that's clear cut. It's like a big swath that goes down the mountain. And so it was all like debris piles and stumps, but it was like the next day when we went out there, I had to go back up because when I drove away from, like, I had a chair outside of my van that I was sitting in before I got scared, outside, like just a fold up camp chair. And I don't remember what else, but I had driven away from that stuff when I drove away. And so after we dealt with the tire, we had to go back up there and get it. And my son walked out and walked up. There were all these really tall debris piles that were out there in that clear cut. And my son walked out and walked on top of one of those debris piles. And it just felt very red flaggy to me. Like it felt like maybe, I don't know if that debris pile could have been, it was the biggest one in the area of the clear cut, and maybe I don't know. There were other debris piles. It could have been that was a normal debris pile, but it felt weird, and I didn't want my son to be up there. It could have just been because of the trauma of the night before, and I was like, please don't do anything to my baby. While he climbed up there, I'm like, what are you doing? Let's get out of here.
Right, yeah, exactly.
But there was like one big debris pile that seemed like it was a little different than the other ones, and then there were a few other spots where there were like a few of the bigger like logs of debris or bigger branches of debris or whatever that were tented up, like not totally put in a debris pile, but kind of like tented up down the hill, because I had walked over before I started hearing that stuff. I had walked over to see if I could see anything cool, because it, like I said, it swales out, kind of gets a little flatter, and then it drops off again by where I was. I walked out to the edge of the drop off, and yeah, it seemed a little bit, I don't know. I don't really know, but it seemed a little bit weird how some of that stuff was, definitely.
It's extremely interesting. I do want to throw in, because I have a feeling the right people will be listening to this one. If you're a ranger and you've experienced something like this, and you would be cool with sharing it, because I think it's important to share it, and we can also, do it anonymously as well if you need to, because I know a lot of individuals are kind of scared of losing their jobs. But the invitation is open. If you would like to reach out, you can send me an email. It's bigfootsociety@gmail.com, but wanted to throw that in there real quick as well. Did you happen to get the name of the ranger that you would talk to, or just kind of a nameless individual that showed up type deal?
Well, there were three rangers that tried to help me, and I don't remember any of their names. There were two younger men, like they were in their early 20s, I would guess, or maybe late teens, and then a younger woman also. And I really don't remember their names. He was kind of tall and thin, and he had like brownish hair, brownish blonde, kind of curly hair. I don't remember his name. I think he was out of that ranger. They were just like the kind of rangers that drive around and fix stuff or whatever. Like,
yeah, no doubt.
Recreational. I think they're called recreational. Yeah. Okay.
Very cool. How did this situation, or this event that you lived through, how did that affect the way that how you viewed Bigfoot in the past year?
Well, I have I have always like had a respect and reverence for it, but I feel like I'm afraid of it. I hope I never encounter another one. But I also have like a really, really deep respect and reverence for it. Like it is, I was thinking about this earlier, actually. I'm glad you asked this question. If you think about like the thing or person that you love the most in the world, right? And just like the amount of like love and tenderness you feel for that person, that was the feeling that I get from Bigfoot about the earth. Like it loves the earth like that, you know? And so I like love and respect that about it, you know, but I'm terrified of it. Like I really, really hope I never encounter another one. So yeah, I'm definitely not going to ever be going on a Bigfoot hunting expedition.
Gotcha. That was kind of the next one. But I was like, yeah, it's going to be a no.
No, I mean, maybe I would maybe go with some other people
Right,
to
sure.
like, because they are telepathic, at least, definitely. And so I would maybe go as a communicator to, in the right circumstance, not like a ghost hunting vibe type thing, like those where they're like, we will find you, you know, like, but more as like a respectful peacemaking, you know, like, what is it called? Diplomacy kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, sure. Like,
that kind of vibe,
yeah,
I would
yeah,
go
yeah.
with that, but not like the, yeah. Anyway.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
In the time since that event, have you experienced anything out of the ordinary that has happened, I guess, at your home where you are located?
You mean like supernatural kind of stuff?
Yeah, it could be anything
What could
weird.
be considered that kind of thing?
Yep.
I mean, I've seen UFOs since then. I've seen some orbs, like when I was on the coast. But that I don't know that that's connected. But it is a weird thing that happened, you know. I do believe. So I do believe that we have the ability to communicate in other ways besides just verbally, potentially, you know. And I think that some people have kind of tapped into that. You can feel vibes of things. People talk about that all the time, whether it's like infrasound from Bigfoot or whether it's like energetic. I don't know. But I forgot the question, to be honest.
No, you definitely answered it. But then the question was, you're experiencing weird things, which is a pattern that comes up.
I always experience. Yeah, I do experience weird things, and I do still. What I was going to say is, like, I do feel like we're all connected all the time, and I feel like I can still tap into that energy if I want to.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there is a thread, there's a connection. And I also feel like I always, ever since then, this is one thing that's very different. I mean, not very, very different, because I always have been very respectful. I'm always leave no trace and very respectful of animals, and I never want to destroy their habitat and stuff like that. But ever since then, whenever I go to a place, I ask for permission to be there, like in that physical space in the woods. Like, is it okay for me to be here? And then I wait for the answer, you know? And if I get a vibe that I should leave, then I just leave. So that is something that's different. Like, there are areas where it is preferred that we are not. So, and then there are areas where it's okay for us to be as long as we're respectful. So
that's extremely interesting. And do you think that is communicating directly to the Bigfoot again?
I think Bigfoot's one of the energies that protects the earth.
Gotcha.
I think that there are other energies that protect the earth too. And they are like, I think that when you ask for, like, when you respectfully, I also usually will like give some kind of offering also when I leave a place also as good as I found it or better. But so when I ask that, I'm asking it of Bigfoot, but I'm also asking it of the other Earth Protector energies that exist, because some of them are equally scary.
Yeah, and I would imagine, that's not. I'm more versed in the Bigfoot side, right? That's what I focus on. But are those things that would also be considered cryptids by some groups of people?
Probably so. I've heard I've heard some people talk about them. The things I'm talking about. I mean, I think there's all kinds of cryptids. I do believe that there's all kinds of cryptids, and I think some of them are regional and stuff like that. Some of them maybe are possibly interdimensional or extraterrestrial, in my opinion. This is my guess about it. And I think that some of them that I'm talking, some of the energies I was talking about, though, when I said that, are what some people call elementals. And they were always of the earth energy. They're from the earth. They were always of the earth. Some of them are interdimensional, probably, but they're like, that's their whole thing, is their Earth Protector energies. And some of them, like, people do call them things other than that are cryptids. Like, I think some of the stuff that I don't really like to say some of the names that people call some of the cryptids, because I feel like it even saying the name of it makes me nervous.
Absolutely. Yeah, I get it. Yep. And you do
I don't want to associate with that energy.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, there are some energies out there that are, I just think you should always listen to your intuition when you're in the woods. And if you, it's never going to steer you wrong. If you get a gut feeling and you follow it, that's never going to steer you wrong. And I think that we're more sensitive to energy and that kind of information than we realize sometimes,
Oh, absolutely. Did this communication start just after the encounter, or was it always there, do you think?
For me?
Yeah.
With this specific energy, or in general?
Just in general.
So I have, I started when I was a little kid, I could sort of understand what other people were thinking about, but then I understood that was a weird thing to do. And so I tried to stop doing that for a long time. And then after I got COVID, I couldn't stop it anymore. And so I just leaned into it. And it's not like I'm not saying I can tell what other people are thinking all the time. It's not like that at all. It's just more of like an understanding of some things that aren't, or like being able to communicate or feel some things that other people aren't necessarily open to at this point. Because I do feel like everybody has the potential,
I do,
if activated or if they try.
Yeah, absolutely. I do know what you're saying. Another interesting thing that has come up through years of talking to people, I think that there could be a thing where a person will have a encounter or be in an area that might be really charged up, and it'll kind of maybe unlock something in
definitely
in a human that could be lost. And I feel crazy for even saying that, but it's just a pattern that I've noticed in a lot of interviews that I've taken. And I think you're right. It's very weird.
And I do think, now that I'm like sitting in the experience again, I do think that there was so like I did I begged my guides for help during that moment because I was so scared, and asked for guidance and like, am I in danger and what's going on? What's this about? All that kind of stuff. And there was something about a portal that they were saying. I don't know if it was like related to that specific physical space, or if it's always there, if it was being created right then, like that night, if it was going to be created that night and it was a special thing that was happening only then, or if it was always there. I don't know, is what I'm trying to say. But there was something about that area being connected to something about a portal, at least at that time. And I do feel like, and like I said, this is very interesting because I have never thought about this frame like this before. But like I said, I did do some kind of magic in that circumstance. Like when I placed the offering, I asked for there to be a connection from, energies that would help, energies of light that would help, for there to be healing in this area, for this earth to be healed, for the injury that was sustained in this area to be corrected as quickly as possible, and for healing energy to like rain down from beings of light or energies of light or whatever would help, right? As you do in magic. And so maybe that's why I feel like I can still, I don't know, I'm speculating, but maybe that's why I feel like I still have like a thread of connection to that specific energy, those energies in that space,
Oh yeah, it's one of those things where it is interesting to think about and to speculate. There's no solid info, but there's threads of people experiencing the same things, which is always a super weird thing.
Yeah.
I would say, thank you so much for coming on the show, for trusting this show enough and myself enough to share what you experienced, Cara. I really do appreciate it. I would say there are a lot of really good things that people can take away from this. One, as you said, know how to change your tire before you go out in the woods.
Right.
That's a huge deal. Also, what I do is I take and I will have my mapping program downloaded to my phone, so I don't need cellular. That's another big deal. Or even have like a beacon type thing. But I think, the car tire is one that can get you. So guys, definitely make sure you know how to change your car tire. You don't want to be lost out there. But thankfully, your account has a happy ending, and you've been able to learn a lot over the last year through this. And I just want to make sure also that you were able to share everything that you had wanted to share by coming on the show today.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that this happened. Like I said, it was the most scared I have ever been, but I really think that this happened because there is a message that was trying to be communicated, about the earth is hurting and angry and rising and waking up and needs our help, and that it's trying to create balance, and that, so basically that was what they were trying to say. That was like that was what they were trying to say. So anyway.
Absolutely. Well, if you ever have any questions that come up or any other things that happen in your life, hopefully things calm down. But you're always welcome to reach out. You can send me an email. But just want to say thank you for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today.
Of course. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.
My name's Kevin. Just, want to share what happened to me because I seen a fella sharing what happened to him in Bear Brook. And I mean, I can't even explain to what happened in 5 minutes. You're gonna have to call me, but basically, I mean, I've been hunting my whole life. I'm from New Hampshire, born and raised. I've been in the great North Woods hunting all the way up to the northern parts of Maine. I mean, I've been everywhere, seen a lot of things, and I've never seen a Sasquatch or Bigfoot, and I've never had any problems. I've hunted in some very remote areas, and I've never seen anything or had a problem. But what happened to me a couple summers ago when we went up to camp was bizarre, and it was a little scary, but it was also, it's left me with a lot of questions. I mean, the only thing that I can think of and what's gotten me to contact people is basically, this is the only thing it could have probably been, was a Sasquatch, and I mean, I'm not like a full-on believer. I'm an open-minded person, but I'm also kind of I'm a hunter, we don't talk about this. I mean, it's just not a thing. So I've shared this with Wes from Sasquatch Chronicles, and I've also shared it with a woman. Her name's Michelle. She's written some books on all this stuff from Maine, because what happened, I had so many questions after what happened that I had to reach out and I had to do a little research to find who Michelle was. But I contacted her, explained to her what happened. Come to find out, there's like all these freaking reports of stuff going on right near where I was, which I had no idea about in the first place to begin with, which was a little crazy. In talking with Wes, he's had so many people with the same thing happen to me. So because what happened, I never saw it physically, but I know for a fact that, I know my animals. I've seen them. I've had bears in my camp. This is nothing that I've ever come into contact with before. And I know that for a fact. Even though I didn't see it, I can tell you just from the vocalizations that it made and the sounds that I heard, this was not a human being coming down to play and mess around. Because for one, where I was, if you're going to mess with anyone, you're going to get shot and you're never going to be seen again. And it's just how it is. I mean, you're not going to go way up in northern New Hampshire and go down and mess into someone's camp in the middle of the night, and someone's going to shoot you. So, I can't explain to you, like the noise, trying to think of a word to describe the loudness or the size of the noise. Very hard to explain in 5 minutes, but it basically ended up coming down right outside of my tent wall, where I had been, by this point, frozen because I didn't know what I was really hearing or dealing with. And when this thing vocalized, it was like, that ain't anything I've ever heard before. So I tried to reproduce the sound for Wes, but it's like nothing will reproduce this sound. It was like a guttural grunting, but it had like a voice to it. It was very bizarre. Very bizarre. So if you want to hear more about what happened to me, I'm from New Hampshire. I've hunted my whole life. Like I said, I never believed in any of this, but I am a little open more to it now because of the things that have happened and what I've learned throughout my own personal research. And it's like, I still hunt. I'm an avid archery hunter. I'm in the woods from September to December. I'm out there every day, and I don't see anything. I've never had a problem, but, what happened to me up in my camp was definitely, I don't know what else it could have been other than a Bigfoot. So, give me a call if you want to learn more.
If you'd like to share a voicemail to be potentially featured on the show as well, head over to BigfootSocietyPodcast.com and hit the Share Your Encounter button. Just want to take a minute to say thank you for listening to this episode of the Bigfoot Society podcast. Cara's story is one that stays with you, not just because of the terrifying sounds from the tree line, but because of the message behind it. The earth is watching, and sometimes it speaks. So huge thanks to Cara for opening up about a night that changed everything and for reminding us that respect for nature isn't just about hiking quietly. Sometimes it's life or death. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe to the channel on YouTube and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next, and share this episode with someone who's ready for a real Sasquatch story. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, follow the show and please leave a 5-star positive review as it helps other listeners find us as well. And hey, if you've had a Bigfoot encounter, especially in the Pacific Northwest, shoot me an email at bigfootsociety@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your story. Thanks again for being part of the Bigfoot Society. Until next time, keep your ears open, trust your gut, and if the forest starts screaming, don't wait to find out why. And see you in the woods.